Hello Lake Monsters fans, I'm George Williams, alongside me is Everest Leach, and today we are going to be looking at the Lake Monsters season as a whole. They are racing towards the end of this regular season, looking towards the playoffs. They sit first place in their conference, and Everest, we've watched a lot of Lake Monsters baseball this year. Why do you think they've been so good?
Yeah, happy to be here, George. The Lake Monsters, incredible season so far. Happy to cover them for a little bit here with you. Really what stands out to me is just the consistency of this team, especially at home where they've been 21-4, just a ridiculous number, basically unbeatable. But even when they've gone on the road and they've lost a game or two, they always find a way to pick themselves right back up, get back in that win column. Obviously, a huge story is going to be the 11 straight wins that they had earlier in July. That was ridiculous, but they've had a lot of 4-game win streaks, 5-game win streaks, smaller streaks as well tapped in there. So there just hasn't really been an extended stretch this season where it looks like they've lost a step or they haven't had it. They've always been able to find themselves again.
Absolutely, and that 11-game win streak is probably one of the biggest stories in the Futures League this year, as well as the overall dominance at home, as you said. I mean, if you look at the offensive stats, it is a little bit ridiculous. They lead the league in batting average, on base percentage, they're first in sacrificed hits, they show a good approach and they're patient around the plate, and a lot of that has to do, obviously the players are exceptional, right? But how do you think the coaching has kind of pushed towards that? Because players, especially at this age, when they're kind of early on in their careers, you can tend to, they take a lot of hacks. They're not very good at waiting for walks and taking balls, etc. But that has not been the case for this team. So do you think that's coaching, or should I give more credit to the players?
I think the players deserve a ton of credit. I also think we have the best coaching staff in the Futures League. I mean, Matt Fincher, he's our skipper, he's our manager. He's just done such a good job leading this group. And I mean, he's been here for a while now, right? He kind of knows his way around this league, this team. And it's not only him, we have a great, conditioning team, great supporting cast on that coaching staff. But they've just been great. This is a hard league to coach in, particularly because you're getting so many different players coming in and out throughout the summer. The roster that we have here today is far from the roster we had on opening day, and it won't be the same as the roster when we play our final game this summer. So the ability to manage so many different players coming in, coming out, I give our coaching staff a ton of credit. And you mentioned the plate discipline. That's something that I think our team has always prided ourselves on is, we're going to play ball the right way. We're going to wait for our pitches. We're not going to steal unless it's a perfect opportunity. And I think it's paid dividends this season.
You mentioned the coaching staff, right, and how they've been here for quite a long time. In this league, as you said, a lot of turnover. How useful do you think it is to have a veteran manager? Because it is so different to what a lot of baseball people are familiar with in the MLB, even in minor league to a certain extent. So, having a coach with so many years on the job, why is that so useful?
Yeah, I mean, Fincher's a legend. Again, he's seen it all pretty much. And so I think that's the biggest thing that proves so helpful with so many of these younger players is there's not a situation Fincher hasn't seen. He was a pitching coach for a long time. Now he's our full-blown manager. This season's hard. It's long. A lot of these players are just coming back from college. Then they're, playing summer ball, and then they're going back to college for another year. And so I think just to have that sort of steadying voice in the locker room is really helpful, especially when you're on the road a lot. I mean, we travel with a big group. There's 40 people heading on these buses to all of New England. And so I think just the ability to stay on track. Fincher never lets them get too high, never lets them get too low. They're always right where they sort of need to be, which I think ties back to what I was saying about how consistent this team's been able to be.
Yeah. Another interesting stat, over 75% of the team's wins this year have come from games where they were originally trailing. And that just goes back to the resilience, as you were saying, but that's just something you can't teach. That's a culture thing, and I think that's one of the really fantastic things that has been done this year. Speaking to some of the guys around the clubhouse and some of the other people involved with the team, that's one thing that they've all consistently mentioned. So unless they've been exceptionally well PR trained, which I don't know if they have, that shows it's the truth. The culture really is just excellent. They're all pulling for each other. They all truly love playing with each other, and I think that's a really important thing. I spoke, if we just shift focus a second to Brian Richmond, I'm sure you know why. He broke the record for the most Futures League hits in Vermont Lake Monsters
rich,
history.
baby.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. His 103rd career hit a few days ago. He passes Colby Broulette's 102. and Richmond did it in just 2 seasons
Yep.
compared to Colby's 4. He's hitting .322, second on the team with 47 hits, and he's first on the team in runs with 36. How can having such a reliable, consistent, maybe not leader, but like exceptional player, how can that help a clubhouse, especially when the playoffs hit?
It's huge. I mean, B. Rich, as we call him here, has just been awesome all season and throughout his Lake Monsters career. And the craziest thing is he might be back for another year next year. So this record might, stand forever after this with where he's at. But yeah, the dedication that he brings to this team. And again, I think it goes back to what you were saying about the culture. I think Brian Richmond is a perfect culture guy. He loves it here. He loves his teammates. He plays for them. It helps that he's a really good ball player. Just super stout in the batter's box. And lightning quick, too. I think still leads our team in steals as well. He's an awesome player, but just everybody within this organization, you're absolutely right. The culture is excellent, and the players love being here. We see them playing hacky sack, when it's raining or when they're, having an off day. They all support each other. They're all happy to be here, and especially when you get guys moving in and out like we talked about before, it helps to have a guy like Brian Richmond who knows how to play Lake Monsters baseball and knows how to get those guys going and get them fired up to play. So he's been an invaluable part of this team for sure.
Absolutely. I actually got the chance to interview him after that historic night where he broke the record. He credited it all to the fans, which is not an unfounded claim. Over 60,000 fans have attended this beautiful ballpark here this year, which is far and away the most in the league. I believe by over 20,000 is the next team that's even closest. So
Yeah.
it is absolutely unreal. We had the hot dog nights a few nights ago where they broke the record selling 10,400 hot dogs. We had a Star Wars night, over $13,000 raised for charity. Like, these are just kind of ridiculous stats. We had the sold out crowd on July 27th, which is one of only 4 sellouts since joining a league in 2021. The fans this season have been unbelievable.
They absolutely have. I'm happy you brought them up. I mean, this goes back to, the dominance here at home at Centennial Field, 21-4. Obviously, our players are great and they love playing here, but it's also because the fans are electric. They're so passionate about this team. They always show up and they're always rooting them on, and they never give up. I think you mentioned the resilience of this team, the come from behind wins. A lot of that is because there's still usually thousands of fans in those stands, whether they're down or not. And that gives the players the belief that they can do anything. And we've seen this season that they can do anything. So, yeah, the fans have just been awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Right, now we've got to come to the elephant in the room here. The postseason demons that have accumulated over this team the last couple of years. Losses in the semi-final in both the 2024 and 2025 season. But this season feels different, you got to think. I mean, if they can bring this regular season momentum into the playoffs, you got to think we're going to have another banner hanging up over there. Another Futures League championship.
I certainly hope so. I do think it's hard to win the championship in this league just by the nature of summer ball and the short playoff. It's only, you get 2-3 game series pretty much. And so, depending on where your pitching is at in the season, where your injuries are sitting, it can be tough to sort of maintain that success throughout the year. We've seen Vermont have excellent regular seasons year after year. They won the championship in 2021. Since then, they've fallen just short. But I do think this group of guys has as good a shot as anybody in this league to get it done this year. They believe in themselves. They have the talent to do it. And I think if they just keep playing their way, good things are going to happen. There's never a guarantee, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I agree. Watching this team, it does feel a little bit different. I won't be in the country when they eventually do lift that banner, but I most certainly think they will. The last thing I kind of wanted to talk about, we're going from kind of a wider picture to a slightly smaller one, focusing on the game this evening. The magic number for the Monsters right now sits at 5, which means if they win 5 more, they'll clinch the first seed. If the Bees lose 5 more, they'll also clinch the first seed, and any combination of those two. So if the Bees lose 2 and the Vermont wins 5, same thing. Vermont will get the first seed. They play each other tonight. How important is this game?
It's a huge game. New Britain's been easily, I think, the second best team in the Futures League behind the Lake Monsters all throughout the year. They're a super solid team, really well run. We've had some tough battles against them, for sure. I mean, this is a team that's handed us a couple of our losses here on the season. I think we've put ourselves in a great position to clinch that number 1 seed, and we've just got to see it through to the end here. And so a win over the Bees absolutely helps that. I'm not going to act like the season's over if we don't get it done tonight, but it would definitely be a cherry on top. I think we can do it. But this is a team we'll probably be seeing in the postseason, I would expect.
And you've got to think that both managers, as we watch the batting practice go on, both managers will probably be putting their best foot forward. We're going to see, the best pitchers in their rotations, best lineups, because this is about as big as a regular season game gets, especially when you're the Monsters and you really want that 1 seed, because home field advantage here is like nothing else.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think that's all we've got for you guys today. George, it was an absolute pleasure.
Anytime.
This team is an absolute pleasure to get to cover. They are so good. We hope that they can keep it up. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.
See you later.